Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a Steller jay. It's a blue jay, but in the blue jay family. Man, that's hard to say, with a nest. This is part of our bird nest series. I just did a bluebird one a couple weeks ago, so I'm really excited about doing this one with you today. Got my husband Mark with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's not in chat today, so if you have questions while I'm painting them, you can ask that in chat, and I'll try to get to it and answer it. All right, yeah, let's get started. I'm already tripping over my words today. It's going to be an interesting show. All right. I have painted my background of my canvas here with burnt umber. It is a 9x12 inch from Fredrix mixed media canvas board here. I just haven't really done anything except for painted it brown. Any dark shade it's going to do. We're going to give it another coat. It's real streaky right now. This is just going to give us a head start. As far as brushes go, you're going to need a large flat for locking in some of your background. And then for our actual nest twigs and things, you're going to want some sort of an angle brush. So I've got a dagger striper. Those are the ones that I like to paint nests with. They make really long fluid lines really nicely. So I've got a 3/8 inch and 1/4 inch dagger stripers. And then I've also got 3/8 inch and 1/4 inch angle brushes from Velvet Touch. So either one of these will do. If you don't have the dagger striper, you can use your angle brush. And then you're going to want some sort of a round brush in different sizes. So I've got, various sizes of round brushes for some of the details in my bird. And that'll be mainly what we'll be using for, we'll use the angle brush for our flowers and things. So those will be the main brushes that we'll need. And if I need to use any other brushes, I'll make sure to mention them. These are all from Princeton brush. The green handles are the 6100 series, and the red are the Velvet Touch. And then these two are their, this one's a mini detailer, and this is their Umbria line. So, all right, let's get going here.
Colors?
Oh yeah, let's go over colors. Sorry, I'm distracted today. Carbon black, burnt umber, burnt sienna, quinacridone burnt orange, yellow oxide, and then I've got some fluid raw sienna and fluid Naples Yellow Hue. If you don't have those two, you can mix them with the other colors we're using, but I like those for my nest twigs and branches and things. Indian Yellow Hue, Cadmium Yellow Light. This one is Phthalo Green Yellow shade in the more fluid paints. Cobalt Teal, Phthalo Blue Green shade, Ultramarine Blue, Dioxazine Purple, Quinacridone Magenta, Unbleached Titanium. This one is Titan Buff in the fluid paint, and Titanium White. And then this is Gloss Glazing Liquid. The reason that I've got some that are fluid and some not is just because those ones will make it a little bit easier to do our line work. The fluid paints will flow a little bit easier off of the brush when we're doing our nest details. All right, let's go back. Thank you. I'm going to grab a pencil here and this is a pastel chalk white pencil.
Thank you.
I know, it's fine. Then I'm going to, let me see, figure out where I want to put my bird here. So I found another picture with the bird kind of facing back towards the nest. I kind of liked it a little bit better than this pose with him with his tail kind of coming out this way. So I might change his pose to being more like this. And then looking back at his nest, back this way. I don't know. I haven't decided. So, but at any rate, we can go ahead and kind of just mark out sort of the boundaries of our nest. If he's facing this way, I need to move the nest over, though. So I kind of need to decide, I guess, before I get too far into it, where my bird is going to sit. If you missed our bluebird one, this is the bluebird that we did a couple weeks ago. So I really like how he turned out. And I just had so much fun with it. I thought, let's do some more. let's do a whole series of birds with their nests. And it so happens that this bird, the Steller jay, I was going to do blue jay, but we've already painted a blue jay in another series. So I thought, well, we could do a Steller jay. They're kind of in the same family. The nests and the eggs looked very similar. They were kind of the blue speckled eggs, which I kind of wanted to do. So yeah, we'll do them this way. We're gonna do them facing that way. So I might move everything over just a little bit. I'll move him over here. So he's got a crest. And his beak is facing that way. And then his body is right here. Tail out this way. And then so we'll just have to give him some branches and things to hang on to right here, and then we'll have all these flowers coming up this way toward him. I think that'll make a better composition, a little bit more compact. Okay, so his opening of the nest will be right in here, and we'll have 3 eggs again in here. Might make those a little bit smaller, somewhere in there. Okay, that'll work. That's all I'm going to do for my drawing. I just needed it so that I kind of needed to know where to put my dark colors around the bird and in my nest. So I'm going to start there. We're going to make the background a little bit darker. So I'm going to get the burnt umber, burnt sienna, and black, just a tiny bit of black, mostly burnt umber and burnt sienna, and some phthalo blue. So I'm making like a really dark teal. Grab both of those colors. And a little bit of black is gonna, there we go. Yeah, so we're just gonna put that in our background. That's what we did with the nest painting. And you can leave some of the lighter brown showing through in places, the burnt umber. So, but I do want my corners to be darkest in this. So I want it to be kind of a vignette where it's kind of dark and then the center of it is a little bit lighter.
A vignette.
Hopefully that's how you pronounce it. I think
I like it. Is it as good as a vinaigrette?
Vinaigrette. I don't know.
How are you doing today, babe?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Doing good. I think I was doing too much visualizing when I get in that headspace where I'm like picturing how I'm going to do things and like changing things up, and then I kind of lose the ability to speak. It's very odd, but it happens.
So that's why you lose the ability to speak when you're talking to me. You're like, okay, how am I going to change this up here? Well, I need
to make this a little bit better.
This needs some serious work.
No.
It's a great Saturday.
It is. It's really pretty outside right now. I know. Okay, there we go. That looks good. And then I'm just going to take a little bit more of the phthalo blue and these two, the burnt sienna and burnt umber, and make a dark teal. Kind of a teal gray, and then add a little bit of white. There we go. So it should just be kind of a, like 1 or 2 shades lighter than our background color. And I'm just going to kind of dry brush it on very randomly in different directions just to add some texture to the background. It's just going to add a little ghost of color around our background. Kind of grunge it up a little bit. It's a filter that I used when I was doing the digital painting, so I like the look of it.
So grunge instead of punk?
Grunge.
Got it. See, when you're already in this mindset, it's fun to...
Much easier to tease me.
Exactly. It's going to be a good day.
Mark's favorite thing. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Okay, get a little bit more of that. if it looks really blue and you want it a little bit more gray, you can add a little bit more of the browns just to make it more gray. So it's just, you control the amount of blue in here. It's a nice way of creating a gray. Very easy. Just adding that brown to it. Okay, I think that's pretty good. And if we want it darker later, we can add more dark or we can add more light, whatever we want to do. We've got plenty of room here to adapt it and change it. So I'm going to go ahead and start right in with my nest, and I'm going to start with the biggest dagger striper. This is the 3/8 inch one. And I'm going to grab some burnt umber and some raw sienna. So I'm going to start with a mid-tone brown just to kind of lay in a base. And this is just going to kind of go around. It's probably a little too dark. But just start laying in some sticks here. And the nice thing about this dagger striper is that you don't have to reload very often. That's why I like to use it. It's got a lot more, it's basically like an angle brush, but it's almost twice as long. So you get, twice the paint amount in here. So you don't have to reload very often. Yeah, so I'm just going to do just the raw sienna here. I think that doesn't need the burnt sienna, or burnt umber, I mean. And you need it fluid. It's kind of like a liner brush in that way that it really won't flow off your brush unless you have a good fluid paint. So to get lines, you have to make sure you've got it fluid. Okay, so I'm going underneath my bird. I'm just going to go right up around it so that I've got some sticks kind of coming up around and for him to stand on. And then we're going to do a nice and this is just kind of building my border of my nest here, just kind of making my boundaries of my nest more visible. And then these are kind of going to come in together and kind of clash right here. So I'm just going to kind of do a few, just kind of sticking up, out, maybe up over the bird over here. That looks good. All right, and then start adding some lighter colors. So I'm going to get my unbleached titanium now. Or no, not the unbleached titanium, the Naples Yellow Hue, sorry. And start laying in my nest. So, or my lighter colors. So what I'm doing is just kind of laying it down and using that bladed edge of the brush, and I'm turning it as I'm curving it. So if I need to go in a curve, I'm just rolling it with my thumb. I'm pushing with my thumb to roll that brush. So it can take some practice. And at first you can just do like straight lines if you're having trouble getting it to roll around these corners. So you can, end up just doing, several straight brush strokes to fill in those corners if you need to, and that's fine too. I've done hundreds of these, like literally hundreds of nests. So I do these without really thinking too much about what I'm doing with my hand, but it's just a rolling action with that brush to get these little lines kind of curving and doing different things. Just not really moving my wrist much. I'm just kind of moving my whole arm. and doing little twisting action with the brush as I'm doing these lines. Okay. And you want to crisscross them so they, if you've ever looked at a bird's nest, they jam those sticks in together in opposite directions, and it'll have kind of a flow where it's, they're all kind of going in the same direction, but within that they're really crisscrossing each other quite a bit. So once I get to about this point, I'm just kind of looking for some strategic areas here where I may have missed a spot, or, there's like a big open spot where you can see all the way through the nest. You should be able to, once you get enough of these sticks in here, you shouldn't be able to see through it anymore, really. You should see a few dark areas, but even in the dark areas, there should be some crisscrossing going on. And that's why I started with these darker colors. And I will be glazing over these, so it'll kind of lighten, it'll kind of blend all these together too a little bit more than it is now. And don't be scared of just going right over the top of where we're going to put our bird. That'll make it more obvious that he's like part of the scene. If we kind of stop our sticks and things before it get to him, and it'll look a little bit more manufactured, a little bit odd. Okay, there we go. And then in the center of the nest, I'm going to get some of this background color and mix it with the burnt sienna, and yeah, there we go. So we're making kind of a shadowy color here, a little bit more gray for the inside. And the inside of the nest is very cross-hatched. It's just all kinds of different, everything going in different directions. And then as you get up here, they start to kind of follow the curve of the nest. But down in here where the eggs rest, it's gonna be all kind of crisscrossed. Okay, there we go. And then the background of that area was darker too, so that also helps the illusion that it's deep in there. And get a little bit more of the warmer browns here and add some of that in. I've also made these a little bit smaller too, so that'll also add to that illusion that that's farther away. Smaller, more gray, and darker. And I got a thick area right there, so I can just grab a burnt umber and just kind of go over that a little bit to hide it. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to do a few more longer. So see how I have like 3 or 4 right here that are all kind of very similar. So I want to just kind of break that up by going over it with another one. And going in an opposite direction, and that way it'll kind of change the look. It won't look so planned. I guess that's the word. I'm just trying to kind of keep it looking random. And your brain, without you even realizing it, your brain is trying to create patterns. So you're fighting your own tendency when you're painting. Anytime you're painting something like this where you're trying to make it random, and your brain is just going to go ahead and like try to make a pattern. And so it's kind of like you're having to like focus on being random. It will be easier to make a pattern than it will be to be random. So yeah, Yeah, so just kind of keep an eye on that as you're painting, and look for patterns that you're making, and you will make patterns. I do all the time, and just try to break those up as you see them, and then you'll end up with a good random, beautiful mess here. That is. Just realized I hadn't put any over here coming down into the bird. Just on this side. Okay, so there we go.
Good tip.
Thanks. And we'll have plenty of flowers and things in here to help break up any patterns that we made that we don't like. So if you did get some patterns going on, that's okay. We'll fix it. All right, so let's put in our eggs. Well, actually, no, before I do that, I need to glaze. I need to make sure that this is dry. I need to take a minute and let it dry.
We had a good question regarding patterns.
Okay, go ahead.
Would it be helpful to rotate the painting to help try to avoid doing patterns?
You can, yeah. Yeah, that could help. That could help if you find, or, turn it upside down or something like that. And also that could help with you doing your lines, because I find it easier to do my lines in a left to right. So you could flip it as you go all the way around and make it easier to get your lines in the right direction.
Maybe try closing your eyes. It'd be really random then.
Yeah. That would be interesting to try, actually.
So what are you doing now?
Now I am glazing, it's called. So you can see it's just a thin layer. I'm not covering up anything. I'm not putting an opaque layer over the top of anything. I'm using a transparent glaze of color. I've added a little bit of water and a little bit of glazing medium. If you don't have glazing medium, you can just use water. That's fine. It's just going to be a thin layer of paint over the top that will help kind of merge all the colors. It's going to tint this so that everything will kind of look like, well, you can see the part where we haven't done and the part we have done. It just warms everything up, changes the tone a little bit. And also we can add, if we're like, okay, I want a little bit darker shadow here at the base of this, I can add a little bit of black or a little bit darker color and like really add a little more depth to my colors just by adding some glaze. And then I'm going to do the center of the nest too, the same way. And that will darken up that center a little bit more. And then I'm going to darken up the transition right here between these two. And this will kind of help make that opening a little bit more natural looking where this light is. See? And then what we'll do is we will go back over some of these areas with our highlighted, just a few more branches here and there, and it'll finish it off. And I want to be sure I'm kind of dark around the bird here, so it's kind of getting a shadow around the bird. And I'm leaving kind of, you can see I'm sort of leaving the areas that I think might be the brightest or like the getting the most light in without as much glaze. Okay, looks good. Good, okay. And then let me get the smaller of the dagger stripers. I'm going to get a little bit of my unbleached titanium or the Titan buff there and some of the Naples Yellow Hue, which I think we went over with the Naples Yellow last time what it was mixed with. I can't remember what it was now. Do you remember? Let me see if it says on here. Naples Yellow here. I think it's on the back of this one. Yes, it is titanium white, yellow oxide, and diary light yellow. So it would be like diary light is very similar to the Indian yellow hue. So you could use yellow oxide and then like a brighter orangey yellow and then white to get this color. So, and the diary light is just like the smallest part. You're mostly white and yellow oxide, and then just a touch of like a brighter yellow to tint it just a little bit more, give it a little bit more intensity of color, because that yellow oxide's very neutral. And then that's this color that I'm using here, and then I've also added the Titan Buff to it to make it a little bit brighter, but you get the idea. Okay. Just bringing out that I think I'm going to leave that there. That's dry enough now. I can get my angle brush. We'll start adding our eggs. So I'm going to use the Cobalt Teal. And my white. I'm going to add just a little bit of the greenish tint to make it a little bit more green. So just a little bit more of the phthalo green yellow shade there. And then to neutralize it, I just need to add some sort of a neutral brown color. So I'm going to use some, let's use some of this raw sienna. So that's going to make it more of a, that kind of turned it a little bit more green than I wanted. So maybe I'll use a little bit of brown instead. A little bit of brown. Yeah, there we go. A little bit of brown with my, there we go, with my Cobalt Teal. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so I'm going to make 3 eggs here. Let me draw them in so I get them in the right places. There. This one here. They're tucked down under here. And there we go. That's our third one. I might make these a little bit bigger actually. There we go. And I'm not worried about going over my sticks. I can put those back in later, so just go right over the top of anything you need to go over. I'll go ahead and kind of fill it in right here, but I'm going to kind of end it right in there, like it's getting cut off by the nest. And the first layer is going to be really transparent, so it's going to be streaky like this. It's normal. Don't worry about it. Just try to kind of smooth out any rough edges. Right. And I'm going to spray my palette so that I keep that green wet while I start to, I'm going to go ahead and put in, let me think. Well, with him this way, I'm not going to have as many flowers behind the head, so I probably don't have to do the flowers first. I could probably put him in now. Okay, let me go ahead and start filling in the bird. I'm going to kind of do equal parts burnt umber and phthalo blue. I don't know if it's burnt umber. Ultramarine blue and phthalo blue. Man, I am bad on my names today. Just having a hard time. I'm going to add a little bit of white so that it's visible against my background. There we go. All right. Tail. And when I'm doing this, you can see I'm kind of like going along with the angle of the body. So in the direction that the feathers are laying, and then that way, any of this that I see, I'm going to get some of that, the egg color, and put it in here. Any of that, the streaks that are left will look like feathers. So we're kind of getting some feather detail in here while we're blocking in our color. There we go. And then the back of this guy it's pretty gray, grayish brown. Let me get some burnt umber, add it to this color. And then for the head, it's pretty dark. I hope that this will show up against my background. I may have to make the background a little bit lighter in this area for his head to show up. Get a little bit of white with my black hair. And I'll just use that as my color. Front of the head. So the head is right in here. This is the head. And then those head feathers kind of curve up this way. I'm not sure if I got the proportions of the body right. Yeah, that goes up a little bit higher. Angle is more like this.
So while you're doing that, just remind everybody of patreon.com/angel-fine-art. It is the beginning of the month, so it's a great time to sign up.
Yeah.
Get the whole month ahead of you.
Yes, we've got lots of fun stuff we're doing. This month we're doing a boho fox. So if you enjoyed that boho rabbit that we did here, it'll be like that.
Ooh, nice.
But with the fox. I decided to do it for my $5 level because that'll give us more time to really focus on getting a little bit more realistic looking. So doing it as our bonus video. And then our $10 level is doing a large canvas colorful pet. So I'm doing Fitzpickle, but you could do your animal, and we're going to be doing it real like crazy colored style. Now, if you've ever seen those. Okay, yeah, the head is not showing up at all against that background. Okay, so what we have to do is make that background lighter. It's just the way it has to go. Here we go. Let me grab a largish brush. So I'm going to mix up some of that teal that was our background lighter color.
So this is where it's helpful to watch through the video first and then come back so you don't have to repaint sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. It's not that big of a deal. This one's not a big, huge change. It's just...
So just to finish up on Patreon, so go over there, check it out. There's different levels with traceables, bonus content. And when you sign up at those different levels, you get access to all of the previous traceables or paintings and tutorials at that level. So it's not just that month.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, we've got several. I don't know how many hundred. I know there's at least 100. I'm not sure. We've been doing it for 5 years, and we won them.
So that would be 60
bonus videos.
Bonus videos with the $5 level and 60 at the $10 level.
Right,
The
so
$10
somewhere around there.
Gets access to the 5, so that'd be 120 videos.
There you go. The 100.
For $10. Come on, man. Interesting.
Right, and they're like 5 to 10 hour videos. They're long version videos, so long, lots and lots of hours of, and more detailed videos, more take our time, make sure that we're putting in all the details. You sometimes on YouTube, constrained by, live time. It's YouTube actually the algorithm doesn't share your videos if they're too long, or at least mine. So they like the shorter videos. Think they want you watching for as long as they can keep you on the platform, but also they want to play ads in between the videos.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
so,
turning tables at a restaurant.
right. Exactly. Anyhow, I've just found that the shorter videos do better than the long ones here on YouTube, and they don't. We're not. We make very little. A few dollars on each video. We're not. They pay us for those ads that play in between. And then, if our super chatters are super generous, then we also make money off of that. But, it is, at the end of the day, I enjoy painting this. I will be painting it anyways. If we didn't make money, I was doing it before we made money, and I would still be doing it if we didn't make any. But
we did a lot before we made money.
We did a lot. But anyhow, it just makes sense business-wise to the Patreon helps pay for the longer version videos on YouTube. It helps us.
And thank you to the thousands of people who support us each month.
Yes, it's amazing.
Hey, real quick, we want to check proportion sizes between the birds and the eggs. Are we looking proportional?
Maybe, I don't know. Probably not. The bird's probably a little small, as always. I did make the bird a lot smaller than it is in the photo. Okay, well, I can make it bigger. I'll just make it bigger. I'll just have to move the head up. Let me see. This is where I should have drawn it, I guess. Probably would have been better.
Well, that's okay. I think this helps also for others. It's not a slick, just the
Nobody
highlights.
ever expected me to be slick.
This, I mean, part of the.
I've ever been accused of that.
I think one of the things about doing it live like this is that it helps people see you work through
Right.
things, and
Yeah.
you know, because when they're just like sped up or just the high points, people don't see how. Oh no, she didn't struggle at all.
Yeah.
She never struggles. She's
Right. Yeah. I think you're right. It gives the illusion that art's super easy and yeah. No, it's just a matter of figuring stuff out. That's what, for me, it's not, there's no formula to it. Just figuring stuff out. Figuring out your colors, figuring out your shapes, figuring out your values. I'm trying to, at the end of the day, come out with something that you enjoy or, that you like out of it all. Okay, it looks good. It looks better. So I just elongated the body a little bit and made it a little bit wider and the head a little bit bigger. So just pushing that head up a little bit. And fortunately, our colors were still sketchy enough that it didn't really affect too much of our overall composition.
We got a good question.
Okay.
So somebody's wanting to build up their art supplies,
Okay.
but they are on a budget.
Right.
So does it make sense to invest first in good brushes or good paints?
Brushes first, 100%. You can get good results. Now, okay, there are more economical paints in a good quality than there are brushes. So brushes, it's harder to find cheap brushes that do a decent job. Acrylic paints, you can find paints that are pretty economical that are not that'll do a great job for you. Brushes, not so much. So the better the brush, the easier you're going to have. So I would do the Velvet Touch probably. Those are kind of like a middle of the road. They're not too expensive and not too cheap. Their Select line, Princeton has a Select. Let me show you the blue. I like their Select in their kind of specialty brushes, like their Deerfoot stipplers and stuff like that. And they have some decent like rounds and flats and things. So if you can't afford the Velvet Touch, you could start with the Select. But I would say that the Velvet Touch are a little bit better. And then these longer handled ones, the 6100 series, are kind of the more expensive, but they're in bigger sizes too. They don't come in the smaller, like you can't get a really small angle brush in this series. So the smallest angle you can get is like this size, the 6, which is about a 1/2 inch, I think. So larger. I do have a set at the Brush Guys. So if you want to see kind of what I would start with, you go there. It's like $50, which is really economical. It gives you, I think,
there's 9 brushes.
9 brushes. Yeah. So it's a decent set. It's much cheaper. Like he gave a discount. It's cheaper to get those. I think you get like an extra $5 off or $10 off of the already discounted prices by buying the set. And I have 2 sets, one for intermediate and one for beginner. And those will get you, if you get both of those sets, that'll get you just about every brush that I use. I don't think I have the Dagger Striper in there, but that's a really specialty brush that I only use ever so often. But most of the brushes that I use will be in those 2 sets. And then, yeah, those would be what I would start with for sure.
And there's a code, Angela Fine Art, all one word, for 5% additional off that price.
Right.
So,
Okay.
good answer.
Just realized I've been talking and not painting. So we need to probably save the...
That's okay.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I just need to save the questions for the end. No, you're good. I just want to save so I can stay focused on what I'm doing here. All right. Let's get a little bit of this blue that we used. I'm going to add a little bit of white. This is just the bird color that had a little bit of the kind of gray. A little bit of black in it. And I'm just adding that shadow below the wing with the black. And now I'm going to kind of blend it in a little bit by adding some other colors here. And then I'm going to get my brighter blue, my Phthalo blue. And if you have your background color like light enough, then these brighter colors will show up against it. If your background color is not light enough, you don't have enough white in it, it'll just kind of blend into the background. So just kind of keep an eye on that. I'm going to get a little bit of the nest color and go with that. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll work for our size. It's a little bit better, a little bit more proportional. Whoop. Get some ultramarine blue with my Phthalo blue. I'm going to use some of that right in here. So there's like a really bright spot on the wings right here. And then white. I need to spray this. I think I lost my egg color. I think it's dried. They've got like the blue jays, they've got these little stripy things on their wings, so I'm just going to kind of very lightly indicate like some little stripes, just some dashes. And let's get some burnt umber here for the back. And some, what?
I was going to say I need to give you a cough button like they do to the news people and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And one for me too.
Yeah. I didn't know they had one. You can press it and turn off your mic.
Yep.
Really quick. Oh, I need that. I do need that. All right, getting some of that. I'm just going to transition between these two colors by glazing some of the burnt umber over and just doing some dabs. Doing some dabs.
Yeah, a little dab will do you.
There you go. And then get some white, creating a light brown gray here. Gonna add some of that along that edge, even though I've kind of made that background lighter. This will just help kind of differentiate it a little bit. Okay. And then going straight up here, back of the head. The eye's going to be right in here somewhere. Yeah, that looks good. And then generally on the birds, the wing, the beak is even with the top of the eye. So the top of the beak is going to be even with the top of the eye there. And then come in below. So, and it goes almost up to the eye right there. Goes into the face. We talked about that in my $10 video. We finished this painting here. Did for the $10 level, and we did a little bird up here. Talked about that, how when I first was doing like birds from memory, I would put the beak on the edge of the face. I didn't really notice that the beak is actually in the face, you know. It doesn't sit like if I would draw a bird, I would, you know, do the bird head and then I would put the beak right up against the edge of the face, but it's actually inside, and it does this little triangle inside the edge of the face. So watch for that. It may not be a problem that you have. It's just one that I had. I just didn't notice it right at first, and then the more I did birds, the more I was like, that's why they look funky. And that also goes to my point that you really need a reference photo. You need to be painting from a reference photo. Helps a ton. Okay.
Sorry, this may be the last interruption question.
Black and gray. Mm-hmm.
Put your nail color. It's crab something.
The crab.
The crab.
The crab. It's Starly is the brand. Kelly Marissa is the artist. She's a YouTuber that I follow. That it was her own creation. She did a series of like star constellation paint, you know.
Yeah, I need to have a word with her.
Because I bought all of them.
Yeah.
I know.
She's got some splaining to do.
I like her because she likes sparklies and I like sparklies. So we're best buds. She doesn't know me, but we're best buds. We have. And
she's wondering why there was a bump in her paycheck this month.
yeah. I know. Okay, getting some brown. I'm taking a long time on this bird. Sometimes the simpler the bird, the harder it is. It's really, you know, the more simplified, because it like shows everything. You have to get it just right. And this being dark on dark is challenging. I probably should have picked a bird that with a more colorful head. But
Well, we can do that. We've done purple bunnies.
it's true.
Let's go.
It's true.
Maybe it's a rebellious teenager.
I'm gonna get a light gray here, mix up some gray, and just do some of these feathers up here. And then where they kind of meet the body, I'm just gonna get some more of the black and just kind of blend that out a little bit. And blend it into the face. Something like that. I don't know. Still not quite there, but I'm going to get some of that lighter blue. There's some blue on the edge there, and then some blue right in front of the eye that kind of comes up. All right. Bring this blue up a little bit more right here. And I'm going to put some of this blue in the face too. One part of the problem is the beak looks funky right now, so I'll fix it and it'll probably look a lot better. And then there's like a little eyebrow too over the eye here that will help. Gonna bring it out around the eye. So that's the beak face, the beak shape. And a little bit of highlight in the eye there. Right, and then a little bit of the dark. Just gonna push back some of that highlight on the beak. Give it a little bit of separation there. All right, I'm gonna leave that and let it percolate. See, sometimes things look better as you get other parts done, or you can see how to change them later once you get other parts of the painting in. Get those legs in there. Right, let's work on the eggs. I do want to do one more thing here. Just make sure I have a dark border between the face there and then the beak. All right. I don't think my egg colors. Yeah, no, it's there. It just needs a little bit more. Got a little bit wet. Okay. So this is my second coat on these. Should cover most of the egg. And yes, these are big. I can't help it.
Okay.
I always make the eggs. I probably started them at the right size and I decided to make them bigger. This can be like an Audubon, you know, how they did like the little studies where,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's just like, so it doesn't have to be exact.
Our world, our eggs.
Okay, I'm going to get some of the burnt umber and quinacridone burnt orange. And I'm going to dab in, while this egg's wet, I'm going to dab in my little speckles. I'll do two things. It'll give it some of the speckles, just get started, but it'll also kind of shadow the backside of the eggs a little bit. And doing it when it's wet, it'll kind of blend a little bit too with it. It'll look a little bit more natural. So go right up to the edge there. The back side of it is almost solidly, the reddish color, reddish brown. It looked reddish in the pictures that I saw, so if it's not reddish, I'm sorry. Don't. If you're a birder, I apologize. Don't send me mean emails. No, I don't. Don't get any mean emails about stuff like that, but they'll be like, that's really the rufous covered dill beak eggs. Sorry.
Oh, I'm writing that down.
And they'll be like, I didn't know, but okay.
The Rufus Dilby. Timestamp 1 hour.
Rufus breasted dillbeak. Right. Picking up my own birds. There's no such thing. There probably is such a thing. Just no telling. But I meant to say this and I got distracted, but I think I'm going to do birds of the continents. So this bird is a South America bird, or Central American bird, I mean. So I'll probably do a South American. We did the, blue bird, which is obviously a North American bird. I might do, I don't know. We'll just see how popular the series is. But I think I want to do at least like a European, African, Asian, and Australian, as well as a South American, probably. So do, a series of one a month, for the rest of until we run out of options.
Well, you've already done the penguins, so.
True. We didn't do an egg or nest with them, but
okay.
yes. And I've done a toucan, which is so fancy.
Oh, how fancy.
That's a fancy toucan.
Ooh, you drink your tea.
He went to college.
Wow, you are showing me up today. I don't know if I need to be here anymore.
Yes, I do. I need you. You're just trying to get out of it so you can go play in your garden. I'm on to you. Don't even. It's like, oh, you don't need me. It's okay. You're so good. You could totally do this by yourself, honey. Okay, I need to stop messing with this bird. Alright, that's not the right color at all. Okay. Alright, let's get some white here. I just need to let this dry so that I can do some more stuff on it. I just need to dry a little bit. Get a little bit of my egg color with my white. And I'm going to start laying in some highlights. So I'm going to kind of put my highlights in here. So kind of the middle-ish range. Wipe my brush off. And you could probably do this one at a time if you wanted to. It just depends on how fast you are at blending. But just using the damp brush to kind of push that paint around a little bit. There we go. Giving them a little shine right in the middle. And then I'm going to get some of that egg color and kind of go along the edges of that, push it back that way. This one kind of lost its, not as visible, so get a little bit more of that white. Wipe my brush off. And just put it down a little bit more paint than you need first. And then wipe your brush off, and then you can push that paint around and it'll come off on your brush. Your brush is going to kind of act like a sponge almost, and it'll take off the extra paint from where you don't want it. I don't really want my highlight that low. I don't really know why I'm putting it way down there. It needs to be up a little higher. Probably right in here. There we go. Okay, and we'll glaze over parts of this too, so if we get this white too bright, that's fine. We'll fix it later. So, but that looks pretty good, kind of shiny. Let me get a little bit of my quinacridone burnt orange and a little bit of the raw sienna. I'm just going to kind of tap in around my highlight with this. This will be kind of the area where the spots get a little bit of light on them. They'll look a little bit more orange, maybe. There we go. And then I'm going to get a little bit more of that burnt umber and quinacridone burnt orange and go in really darker with some of my spots. And sometimes if the egg is like really small speckles, I'll just use my fan brush or my toothbrush and do, splatters for the speckles, and those look really good. And I might do some of that with these too, just to finish them off. But these speckles are looking a little bit bigger to me, so I don't need them. And I'm gonna, in my light areas here, I'm gonna kind of get my little bit of glaze, so I've got a little bit lighter application of paint, and I can kind of use my finger too. There we go. All right, so those are pretty much all I'm going to do with my eggs for the most part. I'm going to glaze a little bit on them, shadow them, but they'll be pretty good. I'm going to glaze a little bit on my bird here. I'm going to get a little bit of burnt umber. Just glaze a little bit of that over. Okay.
So I have to ask.
Mm-hmm.
So you're a very learned person.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that there is a rufous-breasted?
Dillbeak?
Well, no, but it's
I've heard of
rufous-breasted.
rufous-breasted before. Yes.
Okay, all right. I was going to say, what are the odds?
No. I knew there was a rufous-breasted. I don't know what it is, but yeah, I've heard of that before.
There's a wren.
Rufous-breasted wren.
Wren
Mm-hmm.
and sparrowhawk. Let's see if there's a dillbeak. I will buy you dinner.
If there's a dillbeak.
Okay.
No dillbeaks.
No.
Okay.
Just wren or sparrowhawk, apparently.
But is there a bird called dillbeak?
Dillbeak.
Mm-hmm.
D-I-L.
All right, gonna use a little bit of that dark turquoise color that we used in the background there. I'm gonna use that to separate out these eggs and just shadow this one just a little bit. And just putting my color down where I want it darkest and then just pushing it around. Here, I'm gonna do it right down here.
I don't think so.
All right, where it's going down. Okay, good. All right, because then I'd really be worried. see that, just kind of shadowing that in, making sure the magic of glazing. And I'm going to use a little bit of the black and my burnt umber here just to go around them in the nest itself and darken up that area where they're sitting. Okay, now I'm going to get my dagger striper again, some of the lighter color, and I'm just going to cover up the front of that right there. Just put a few brush strokes in just to make sure that that kind of is hidden where that eggs go down in. And every now and then I like to kind of throw in a random one that kind of, you know, meanders in a place where it doesn't really belong. That makes sense, you know, like the stick got sticking out in a weird place, or just adds a little. So like right in here, I'm going to just kind of try to, there we go. Okay. And I think I want to give this guy a little bit stronger branch to sit on and get a little bit of burnt umber, this raw sienna color, and kind of find that foot there and just give it a little thicker branch to sit on. The same thing here. That even. Get a little bit of darker burnt umber there, and then I'm going to get my bird foot color back, that gray. Just put that back in. I'll have to come back and mess with that once it's dry, but all right, let's put some flowers in. So I'm going to use this angle brush, 3/8 inch angle, and I'm going to put some white apple blossoms in. And I'm going to use a gray to start with, so I'm just going to kind of get a little bit of this blue and a little bit of this gray that we've been using, just like the blue from the bird or whatever. And we'll start with that. I'm going to lay in some blossoms really close to each other. Oh, and let me put in some green too first, actually. Need to put in some leaves first. Get my green, a little bit of burnt umber. Phthalo green, burnt umber. I'm just going to dab in some little bursts of leaves. I'm literally just pouncing my brush down to create a leaf shape. This brush will do all the work for you. It's already got a leaf shape to it, so just tapping. I'm going to really try not to overdo this time. All right, there we go. And then let's get some yellow and do some brighter yellowish leaves. And I can go over the top of some of the ones I've already done just to add a highlight to them, or I can do new leaves, whatever I need, but this will just give us a spot to put our flowers. All right. And I'm going to get some Cobalt Teal and do some different ones with that. So just maybe some like little leafy fern like leaves. All right. And I can do like a line down the center of those too to make them a little bit more situated. So it's just not random dots everywhere.
Okay, you can't give this away because I told it to you last night. I should have waited to today.
What?
Where do you take a person who has been injured in a peekaboo accident? So we'll see if we get any answers in chat.
Okay.
I don't know what I was thinking telling you last night.
I know. I know. It's moderately funny.
Other than your paintings, it was one of the more valuable things on TikTok.
Okay, add some brighter little pops of yellow there. Some Indian Yellow Hue with my green. And let's go back to our flowers now. And again, just kind of a light white gray color here.
And the answer is to the ICU.
Peekaboo, I see you. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Nice. You're a mess.
Okay, back to the flowers. Oh, and I hope everybody took a screen grab of what the nest looked like. Just,
Shut up. You?
I love you.
Okay. It only hurts because it's true. Okay, I'm going to be better about it today, though. I'm going to go with what I sketched because I liked what I sketched. So if I stick to that, then I should be okay. Although I changed my bird up, so it does change it a little bit, but I think that's maybe needs a little bit down here. All right, this is good. It's got a good like flow there of the flowers, I think. I'm gonna do brighter blossoms here. Yeah, that works. Okay, and get some white here. And go back over some of these ones that I did before. Add some highlights to them. And see how they're kind of like all the white, like I'm trying to create interesting clusters. These ones are all kind of stopping at the same spot here, so I'm going to put some high up here so that I've got, now the top of this is doing something more interesting too. It's not, you know, it's not a problem to have them clustered necessarily, or, you know, the same height always, but I just want to make sure that I'm keeping an eye on my overall composition. Since I'm making this up, again, you will tend to make patterns when you're making up your own compositions. It's just kind of how your brain works. So the brain works. Our brains.
A-brain.
A-brain. Just dabbing on some highlights here. And then I want to get some, I want to have some pink in here too. So I'm going to get a little bit of magenta with my white and some yellow. Just a little bit of yellow to make it a little bit more of a salmon pink. And I'm just going to put some of those in here. And the apple blossoms do kind of start out a little bit pink, so these could be like the apple blossom buds. A little pinkish. And a little bit in the centers of some of these. So just going to dab in some center, some of the pink in the centers of the flowers. This pink is a little light, so I'm going to have to darken it up. When you've got two things that are the same value, see how it's kind of looking flat? If we took a black and white of this and those flowers, they'd look really flat because there's no depth to the color. So I'm just going to get some magenta and some of my Quinacridone burnt orange and maybe even some green. Actually, I'm seeing some green in my photos in the centers of the apple blossoms. So a little bit of white, some green and some yellow. I've got that burnt orange in here, so it's making kind of a light gray green. Still not dark enough. Let's try the green and the burnt orange together. There we go. Okay. Just aiming for the centers of these flowers here. I don't know what's happening there. I need to work on that. It's not a flower or a bud, it's just like a blob. Let's make something out of that. And then I want some of this blue over here, so I'm going to get some of my blues. Mix a light blue. Maybe make some little forget-me-nots, little. And the fun thing about this, you can just kind of, use your colors that are in your painting. Pick your favorite flower or whatever, and put it in here. Whew, that blue really makes it pop, doesn't it? I'd use that sparingly. That's almost too much. I'm not loving my flowers. My apple blossoms are not quite there yet. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow to their petals. Sometimes they have kind of a yellowish tint. Very pale yellow though. A lot of white. I don't want to overdo it either, because then you kind of lose the freshness of your brush strokes. So you just kind of have to decide where you need a little extra highlight. can kind of take my yellow and get a little bit of the Indian yellow with my cadmium yellow light and a little bit of my white. I can push back into my white areas with this, so kind of create some little those little stamens sticking out. Might need a little bit more of the burnt orange just for some more contrast. There we go. A little bit more contrast. Yeah, there we go. See that? That will help finish off those centers of the flowers. Get some of the lighter color, a little bit of the darker. So a little bit of lighter yellow and a little bit of the more burnt orange color. Help a ton. Okay. Okay, come in. Little bright yellow centers. Okay, so right now the flowers are really standing out, right? You can see how they're just like, woo, they're really, so to integrate them better into my painting, I need to introduce some lighter colors around them. So I can take my angle brush and use some leaf colors, some leafy colors, so get some of the turquoise or some teal and the yellow and some white, and do some light green buds around them. See, and that will immediately kind of take the focus off of them. Kind of confuses the eye a little bit and blends them in to the scene a little bit better too. So I need to, these buds that are out here need to have like a little stem going to them, so we'll just put a little bit of this color and give them a little And this could be really any color. So you could use pinks, you could use, you know, the leaves are easy to add because they make sense in our scene. You know, you're like, okay, that's just another plant added in here. So they're pretty easy to add, but I can add some grasses, some like stick like, you know, shapes with this color. Mix them into my nest a little bit. Maybe not that much. I got a little bit heavy-handed right there. But see, now they don't look so out of place. They kind of look a little bit more integrated into the scene. All right. I'm going to give my ferns a little bump of color too. Give them a little highlight. I think they were these two greens together. The turquoise and the teal and the green there. So I'm just going to go back over those areas and add a little bit more detail around my ferns. Give them, I don't know if I love that color. Definitely looks artificial. It's pretty bright. We'll let it dry and see. They dry darker, so we'll let it dry and see if we like it once it's dry, but I'm not sure I love that thing happening right there. Alright, so let me work on my bird a little bit more. We'll finish it off. And I think we'll be done. We're pretty much done with our eggs. I think I might add a little bit brighter highlight to them so that they're a little closer to the brightness of the white flowers, but I'm gonna darken up the black around my bird's face here. Give it a little bit brighter highlight in the eye. There. A little bit brighter highlight on the beak. Oh my gosh. Get the black out of there. It's just not. Now this is going to be like white, 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 white. There we go. A little highlight on the top of the beak. Let's go ahead and give them a little bit more. The little highlights in the feathers here, a little bit more attention right here. A little bit brighter there, a little bit brighter along the breast, and just kind of give it some individual feathers. Just dabbing and pulling down. A little bit in the wings here. There we go. Get some of my darker color and just do my little stripes through the wings. Get some of the darker color and kind also put some separation to the feathers. I don't like to get too fussy with this. Get a little bit of that lighter teal blue. Do some longer feathers right there. Yeah, this is looking good. Okay. Do some of the lighter blue feathers on the back. And then I'm going to use you can switch to a smaller brush here. I'm just going to try to get some of this lighter blue and do around the eye with that very carefully. Just, yeah, now you can see the eye. A little bit of lighter blue right here on the top. The beak. And let's go ahead and put some of this blue in the feathers here. I'm just going to kind of brush it through just to kind of lightly highlight those feathers, and very lightly around the side of the face here just to make them stand out a little bit better against that background. There we go. Let's do a little bit under the beak here too. Okay, so if your bird is not showing up, you just need contrast. So you can either make him darker, brighter, and the background, lighter, darker, whatever. But you just need to kind of decide on yours what you're seeing. If your bird's face is not showing up, then you need to probably go a little bit lighter on your background so that it shows up, because he's got such a dark face. I'm finding it a little hard to get him to show up. Alright, getting some burnt sienna and some of my green and light phthalo green and some white. Actually get some burnt sienna, or I'm sorry, unbleached titanium. Man, the place where my colors are stored in my brain gets mixed up. It's like I just sometimes what? Where did that come from? I didn't end up using my purple. I thought I was going to use them in my bird, but I didn't really end up needing it, so we can leave that color out, I guess. Come on. There we go. Burnt umber and green. I already have some of this green in here. I'm just gonna go back through and add some highlights on these greens that are the dark greens. Make them show up a little bit better. Yeah, I don't love that. I'm not a fan, so I'm not really sure what I need to do. I think I'm just going to put some sticks and things over it. I think that'll help. And I did this with the other one. I used this is where we can pull in some purple here. We can grab the purple, a little bit of the ultramarine blue and black or burnt umber. So just like a really, really dark burgundy color. Makes for a nice contrast with all these light pastel colors. So you have some sticks in this color. And I just want to be careful because I don't want to overwhelm. This should be used very sparingly. It's helping to kind of block out that a little bit. Maybe I'm going to get some of the burnt sienna. Raw sienna, I mean. And Naples Yellow. It's a little harder to add these at this point because we've got stuff in the way now, so we don't want to cover up, too much of our flowers and things with this. Dog's dreaming in the background here. Look at his face. There.
He stopped.
He stopped, yeah. He was dreaming about chasing squirrels. Get the rabbit. He is definitely become, I think he's got, it's that King Charles Cavalier Spaniel in him. He's become quite the hunter. Gets in our backyard and just anything in the backyard gets chased down. I'm afraid he's going to catch a bunny one of these days. The bunny chewed a hole through our fence to get out.
Mm-hmm.
To get in and out. Little turkey. Thankfully it's not too big, but still, I don't want it to be any bigger. I'm just using the burnt orange here to dab in some centers of my white flowers here. Let's add some of the yellow dots. This is at the very end here. This is just where you're kind of gonna decide on yours. Yours is gonna look different than mine, obviously. So you may not need to do the little dots. Dabs, but I like these little teeny tiny things in here too, because that also goes to distract and kind of confuse the eye. It sort of, it's a nice way of kind of finishing off some of these little branches. I did it with the white on these ones, right, here, and then on the boho bunny, I also did some like baby's breath kind of things. So there's all kinds of different flowers you could do, or little dabs of color. I like it. And I need to work on his feet because they're disappearing. They're not showing up. There we go. Got some dark gray or dark black, and then go in with some white to just highlight the tops of the knuckles. Okay. Yeah, and then I think I'm going to just glaze a little bit of light blue over my eggs just to give them a little bit of color. Let's get used to Phthalo blue here. And I'm going to use a very, very light coat of Phthalo blue. It'll be kind of that blue-green color. Just brighten them up just a little bit. And then I'm going to get a little bit of white. Maybe add a light glow along the edge of the egg where it's separated out from that one. And then just go in with like some bright like dabs of white. That are not as blended in. Okay. Fun. Very, very springy. I know it's like a little over the top, but I love it. I love it. It's a little maxed out spring bling. But it'll be fun. We can, here's the bluebird. Hey, wouldn't that be fun? I don't know. I just think it's gonna make a nice, can you zoom out anymore? There we go. Now we see them both. But, so just a little bit different. This one's got a lot more flowers.
What?
I said I wasn't going to do as many flowers, but I did. I just realized I did way more flowers. Probably could have maybe taken that out. I don't know. No, I mean, it needed it.
Yep.
It needed it the way it was situated, so. But I think I could have probably gone a little bit brighter on the highlights on my flowers here now that I'm looking at them side by side. But yeah, it's kind of fun. So we'll do another one, and if you have any suggestions, you can leave those in the comments. Love to see, you know, what your favorite bird of your, if you live in a different part of the country or part of the world, I mean. Give me some suggestions in chat. I'll look them up. Look up and see if I can find some good nests for some other birds from all over the world. So we'll continue this series next month. So, super chat. Yeah, silent while you're doing that.
Chat. Super chat.
Excellent.
Okay, our first super chat was from Danette. It says, "Bird is beautiful. Awesome painting so far."
Oh, thank you.
That was earlier in the show.
Hey.
So thank you, Danette. Really appreciate that. That's awesome.
Glad you liked it.
And then we have from Morel. Yep. And no special message.
Thank
But
you.
thank
Wow.
you very much
generous.
for the donation.
Appreciate it.
And this just in. And one from
Thanks for
Allison.
the wonderful tutorials. Fabulous art chat is awesome too, Mark. Oh. I know. I wish that I could chat and paint. I can't.
Hey, you can't take all my job. You're taking over the jokes. You're not painting. Hey, come on, really.
It's true. It's true.
I'm going to have a talk with the union about this.
Leave something for you to do.
Thank you
Alright.
so much for all the support.
Thank you guys for watching today with us. We appreciate you as always. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll be back next week with, or actually Tuesday, we've got, what are we doing on Tuesday? Oh, Bumblebee with sunflower. So be really easy. It'll be a really fun, easy project to do with the large sunflower and Bumblebee. So, and then next Saturday, I'm not sure what we're painting either, but we'll be back for another video. And if you want to check out, get on my newsletter, there's thankfulartart.com. That's my website. You can go sign up for my newsletter, and the schedule came out this week.
Good catch.
He sends it out, and it's got, you know, the whole schedule with all the links to the videos. So it makes it really easy to follow. And yeah. And he posted that on my Instagram, my Facebook, and all that. All the links to my social media are down in the description. So you should be able to find that schedule posted on my Instagram and other places. Of course, the Instagram won't have links, so you have to go to Facebook for that, my Facebook page. But
I thought you were painting on the ceiling from now on. Sorry.
That was, little April Fool's joke. I've been there, done that. I've painted on plenty of ceilings. Not going to do that again. I much prefer sitting painting. But anyhow, all right. Thanks, guys, so much for hanging out with us today, and we will see you next time. Bye.